Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today what I want to do is to have sort of like a show and tell and to look at the tools and practices, you might say, for taking good care of your watches. And the first thing I want to talk about is getting a pair of jeweler's gloves. Now, jeweler's gloves are watchmaker's gloves. Well, watchmaker's gloves are those little rubber things for the end of your fingers. But for handling watches, a pair of gloves, excuse me, pair of gloves like this will help your watch from getting all gummed up, and so when you handle it and so forth, and instead of getting oils and whatever else happens to be in your hands all over the watch, they'll be held by gloves. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is the taking care of your watch bands. Your watch bands, either gator bands or with leather bands of some sort, you need something to keep them from getting cracked and everything. And one of the things I found was something called neat's foot oil. And neat's foot oil is it's used a lot in the equestrian trade, where they take care of saddles and harnesses and so forth. And I got a big 32-ounce bottle of it, and then I just put it in these little travel uh, empty travel bottles, and then I just put it on the watch's band, and it'll keep it in case it's dried out, or keep it from drying out. It helps a lot to have that. Now, as far as bands are concerned, I basically have two types of bands. Um, I got one bands are my everyday bands. They're sort of beater bands, and these beater bands they're not much really for beaters. They're FP Journe bands, and they have this little quick release on it, and you just pop it right off. But the two types they have, this one is rubberized on one side, and then it's a gator on the other side. They have one color, black. They used to have blue also, but now they just have black. And I'll put that on my watches. I'll put the beater band on, and then when I have some putting on the dog, so to speak, I'll put on my good band, which happens to be it's also a gator band, but it's cognac color, and it's in pristine shape. And so when you go into something where you want to have a nice band on your watch, you can do it. The the other thing I have is that for other watches, this H. Moser, for example, this is a leather band with a gator pattern to it, and this particular band is simply an inexpensive band I bought. And what I do is that then I save my good bands for when I have an occasion to go out. Now, the reason I do this is that I wear my good watches all the time. I don't save them for the few times that I go to some event, such as a watch show or a gathering of watch collectors or something like that. Of course, I have them then too and put on my good band, but those are not everyday events. They're events that happen only every so often, and so you want your band to look nice. Now, another kind of band I think that's important is a NATO band for the summertime. And the thing about a NATO band that's important is that the back of the band is between your wrist and the back of your case. And so it's sort of a double protection, plus the fact that when you take your good band off, this is my good band for that for this watch, and so I'll take it off and I'll put on this band, and again for summertime for this particular watch is a Parmigiani Hemisphere. I might leave this on, for example, if I take a trip or something like that. Uh, I'll put on another band. By the way, too, this particular band, a lot of people say, oh, they hated it. They didn't like the looks of the green and black, and I should get a black and red because the dial has black and red in it. The problem was it didn't have a band in 24 millimeter and black and red. I finally found one, and it'll be here soon. So now everyone can be happy. But the cool thing about it is that I can have different bands, and it's like having a different watch. So that's another thing you can do. All right. Now, one other thing about bands. One of the things that I really like about the FP Journe bands is that they're quick release. They have a little pull thing right here, and you just click it and off it comes. And this is really handy to have, because then if you want to change bands, it doesn't take a lot to do it. On the other hand, with my other watches, such as my H. Moser Henry double hairspring, this one, when I take the band off, I use a spring bar tool. And a spring bar tool has a fork on one end and a little pointy thing on the other. And to take it off, what you do is you put the fork right in over the collar around the spring bar and just push it, and out it comes. Some people will use case knives and just regular knives and God knows what else. I really wouldn't do that. You can really tear up your watch. Or you can also mess up a spring bar doing that, not to mention your band. All right, what you do whenever you work with taking your band off, always do it from the back. It doesn't matter what kind of tool you use, you can always slip. And if you scratch it, you don't have a big scratch on your watch case to show everybody that you flubbed up. But every time you turn it over, you'll be reminded. Okay, now, when you put a band on, you use a pointy end. Don't use the fork to put it on. And what you do, you just poke the end of the spring bar down and then slip it between the lugs and then into the hole. Another thing I found is very handy is a plastic tweezers. The reason for this, it's anti-magnetic, of course, or non-magnetic, I guess. And sometimes you'll want to use the same set of spring bars. Let's say I know my big one, I only have one spring bar set for my 24 millimeter, so I'd pull those out and then put them back in again so I can put the NATO strap around it. Using something like this makes it a lot easier. You're not going to break it. You're less likely to have it go flying off somewhere where you can't find it. All right. Next, I want to talk about cleaning your, if you have, well, I mean, any watch really, any metal watch. But especially with the bands, when you have a metal band, and this one's got a great big metal band on it. This is a Parmigiani Fleurier Culpa XL. What I use for that, you might find useful. There are these Cape Cod, they're called Cape Cod polishing cloths for fine metals. And they'll work on silver, gold, pewter, brass, copper, bronze, and of course stainless steel. I only use it on my stainless steel so far. I'm afraid to use it on my gold. All right. they have inside of here, there are two cloths, and they've been infused with the cleaning fluid, and so you get the cloth and everything else. And you can use it several times, and you put it back in here, and then you seal it up, and it keeps everything nice and ready for the next watch you want to clean. Another useful thing to have is some kind of like a little brush where, because especially if on metal bands, you get all kinds of crud in here. Another, what you can do to get them out, get an old toothbrush with a soft bristles on it, and you can scrub those out of there, and so your band looks like new again. The next thing I want to talk about for really having some fun with your watches is a loop. And when I signed up for my watchmaker's class, they suggested a ×4 and a ×10 loop, and you can get them in all different kinds of materials. This one has a rubberized, and this is very comfortable. And notice too is that it's got the sort of air holes. This is compliments of FP Journe. Here's another one from Journe. This is a wooden one. Both of these are very, very comfortable loops. Now, this is a more conventional loop. This is from Bausch & Lomb. And I also got for it one of these little spring things that you put on your head. And you can just pop that on and look like you got to take your glasses off. And you can use it so you can have both hands free and really look at the horloge on your watch. And then you put it here, and people think you're a real watchmaker. Okay. Another thing for looking at, for inspecting your watches and make sure it doesn't have any scratches and everything is okay, or simply maybe using it to poke the spring bar off, is a magnifying glass. This one is a very nice one. It's not an expensive one, but if you keep them clean, you can use it to take a look at something. Sometimes it can, even with some of your smaller dials, you can use it to look at that. And it has two. This is a sort of a general magnification, and then this one at the bottom is a little thing for a high magnification. That's a handy tool to have. Okay, now a lot of you may already have these kinds of tools. And if you do, this is nothing new to you. On the other hand, if you don't, and you're thinking of getting some things to keep your watches looking good, this is what you can use. I took my gloves off to get this quick one back on. It's not so quick. There we go. Put it in the hole here. Come on. Anyway, I was going to show how easy this is to work, and it is. Here we go. And your band is back on with quick release. It works a lot better if you're coordinated. All right. Now, one of the things that I didn't talk about, and I didn't talk about it because it's probably something I wouldn't do for a while. A lot of people run out and they get a case knife to pop open their case, or they get one of those tools to unscrew the back. I have both of them. Or a set of screwdrivers so that they can unscrew the screws around the case. This one, for example, my H. Moser has their just 4 screws that hold on the back. Don't do that. Just leave the case alone. And until you've had some inkling of why you'd go in there. The reason for that is that if for waterproofing and you break the waterproof seal on it, And in my case, if I had this one watch with all these screws, and I wanted to see what it looked like, so and it had an exhibition window. I just wanted to see more of the movement, so I took them off and I immediately launched one into somewhere, and I never found the other screw, and I finally had to take it down, and a watchmaker had to find a screw for it, and he charged me $20. It's crazy, but so you really don't have I mean, if you have a quartz watch or something, sure, you can get something to take it off to put a new battery in, but otherwise, if you're dealing with mechanical watches, automatics, or wind-up, just leave the case alone until you learn something more about it. Well, listen, that's about it. And if you have any suggestions or tips or other ideas in the comments section, please let us know. And as always, this is an invitation to subscribe if you'd like. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders with Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.